Appreciate. Okay. Good morning. So yes, I'm here representing SBA today, but it is a bit of a homecoming. Like I said, I was formerly a program manager, and I was lucky to have Beth working with me in the Southeast APES Accelerator during the transition. But yes, so I'm here from Eastern Pennsylvania district of SBA, and we are a small but mighty office that assists businesses in many things from, lending to government contracting and also recovery in the times of crisis. And I'm not sure what stage are you in, but you might have taken advantage during the COVID relief program that when our team worked very hard. So I just want to let you know throughout the presentation, the links are live. So, and you will be receiving this presentation as a follow-up to this session, and you're welcome to click on them and find these resources as you are working through your government contracting plan. So a little bit about myself. I have joined the Eastern Pennsylvania District Office as of December. We covering 40 counties of Pennsylvania, and my title is Business Opportunity Specialist, meaning that I assist certified businesses in navigating government contracting market, along with my one other colleague, George Tapia, that you might have interacted previously. A little bit of background about me. I have a bachelor's in communications and international development, master's in international development, and formerly I worked as a program manager, Southeast SBA Apex Accelerators, as I mentioned. And my passion truly is assisting small businesses navigate government contracting, and this is something that I have done as a part of the team with the City of Philadelphia, ushering and assisting in certification of small businesses into a retail program at the Philadelphia International Airport. Something that we really took our pride in. We wanted to make sure that Philadelphia International Airport really reflected the city of Philadelphia. So we ushered a lot of businesses, about 40% are locally owned and operated, and we are very proud of that. So government contractor, I worked for you at different USAID programs, bidding on many different projects in the public information specialist realm. So this government contracting had the whole other aspect, added challenge of bidding on projects that are overseas. So I've done that for quite a few years, and I really empathize with what you're going through. I have been a small business owner for 15 years. It was still the most rewarding and the hardest experience that I have had, but I successfully won an RFP that started off my business. So I really know what you're going through. And because it's a small group, Beth, if it's okay with you, they can put questions in the chat. But I also want to, feel free to raise a hand throughout the presentation because I would love to have it more targeted to this audience. And, while I'm introducing myself, if you wouldn't mind just putting in the chat, letting me know, like, are you a new business? Are you thinking about starting business? Or if you are already established business, it will really help me gear my presentation that way. So thank you very much. I love to have a conversation rather than, just me talking at you. So, and we've discussed all these topics. So I'm just going to move to the next slide. So today we are hoping to have a federal certification overview, right? So we're going to discuss that not all certifications are created equal. Role of certification in federal acquisition space. We're going to discuss the certifications that are offered by Small Business Administration and what it takes to obtain one and how to leverage your certification, how to use that certification. So it's going to be one long and busy hour. If you ever get overwhelmed or you need me to repeat something, I'll be happy to repeat, right? So I just want to kind of point out that not all certifications are created equal. Many businesses feel like, okay, I'm going to obtain one certification and I'll be able to use it for all levels of the government and corporations, and that's not how that exactly works, right? So today we will primarily focus on the certifications provided by small business administrations that are used for your business to compete in a federal government space. And so I just wanted to keep that in mind. And so the key to determining what is the right certification for you is to really do your market research. And I know that Apex accelerators are really good at determining that for you. So you know what the best starting point is. So if you're going to competing for opportunities with the city of Philadelphia, they have a different certification program and that you would need to apply and go through in order to compete for those opportunities. So I really want your efforts to be targeted, right? So that is why I am bringing this up. So, like I said, different levels of government, make sure you prioritize them correctly. And make sure that you're already an established business because we find that success in competing and leveraging your certification is directly correlated with being an established business, meaning that you have a really strong set of competencies that you want to sell to the government. Government is very risk averse, right? So even if you have a certification, you really need to have a strong set of competencies to show for it, right? Be an expert in your field and make sure that you have all your books in order because as a part of the certification process, you will need to reveal those documents and books, right? Everything from accounting to sometimes business plan that includes government contracting, if that's the market you want to embark on. Incorporation documents have to match all across the board, especially when it comes to SAM registration, which is a portal where you register your business in order to sell to federal government. And also have all your human resource documentation for sub-certifications like HubZone, you will need to reveal information about your employees as well. And different certification vehicles will require different documents and will require different qualifications. So it's just something to keep in mind. So that is what I mean when I say that all certifications are not created equal. Any questions so far about that from anyone so we can tackle them as I go along. Beth, I'm assuming you're welcome to raise your hand or just unmute your mic and speak. I'll be happy to assist.
I'm just keeping it in the chat right now as we're quiet. We just have some responses on the types of businesses that we have joining us today, but if you'd like to continue.
Okay. Yeah, can you let me know what are those businesses?
Sure. We have a few that are starting new small businesses, and we have a mix of already established that are joining us today. So
Okay, very good. So role of certification in a federal government contracting. Now it's become apparent that not everyone has consistently and equally competed in the federal government contracting space. So these certifications are government's way of evening out the playing field, right? And creating vehicles to make those businesses with those certifications be more successful. In some instances, even eliminating competition of large businesses, right? So any government contracting professional needs to do their market research. And if a certain product or service can be delivered by a small business, they need to make it a small business set aside. We'll talk a little bit more about that, right? So SBA provides several programs to help small businesses. We're going to discuss all of those. And the idea is to win their fair share of federal contracts that this big pie called government contracting. United States is the largest buyer in the world, right? Also gets sourced from small businesses, right, with different qualifications. Federal contracting allows for certain set aside and sole source contracts. And I want to differentiate those two. So when a government does a marketing research and say, okay, this product or service can be provided by small business, they have an obligation and they're invested to source that from those businesses. This is when they create what's called a set aside opportunities, meaning that only small businesses can compete for these opportunities, or even certain certifications are so powerful they give you access what's called sole source contracts, right? You find an agency that is buying what you're selling. You directly negotiate with them. And sometimes, especially in the 8A program, you can do that with other certifications as well, veteran owned and hub zones and even women owned. It's a little bit harder, but you can have what's called sole source contracts, meaning you have convinced this agency that you can do this, right? In 8A program, they have a congressional mandate um, to give a priority to an 8A certified business that can provide that, right? You will also be able to partner with established contractors to win the contracts, right? So you can either partner with them, you can create joint ventures, you can be part of their subcontracting plan, and we're going to discuss all of those things. Throughout this process, there's also several vehicles that allow you to have mentoring, and having certification will give you priority in being part of those mentoring programs. So. And the government, like I said, has an obligation. It has certain goals set, in selling to small businesses with these certifications. So I'm not going to read all of this to you, but you're welcome to read through it. And in this box below, it just tells you different thresholds relative to different certifications. And I will tell you that federal government almost always exceeds all of these goals with an exception of a hub zone. Right. So hub zone certification. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I see that as nothing but opportunity. Philadelphia and Southeast Pennsylvania area has a lot of hub zones. I will show you how to identify them, and going through that certification, even though it might be daunting, it might be also worthwhile. And so there are different SBA, Small Business Administration certification programs, and they belong in these categories: small business, small disadvantaged business, women-owned small business, veteran small business certifications, 8A business development program, which is designated for disadvantaged businesses, and a hub zone program. One of the things that I want to differentiate, and there seems to be quite a bit of confusion, is relative to self-certifications versus formal certifications, right? So when you're registering in SAM portal, you can self-certify, and that information is provided in good faith, right? That you're a small business, and small business will be automatically determined by number of employees or revenues that you are bringing in, and those are directly tied to the NAICS codes that you have selected. So if you have registered in SAM, this might be putting pieces of puzzle for you too. So and then a woman-owned small business, you can state that you're a woman-owned business, but this is not a formal certification, right? So also same, you can state that you're veteran-owned small business, also service disabled and small disadvantaged business. Now that establishes you as a business that has potential to apply for formal certification processes, which we are about to discuss, right? So formal certifications, we're going to go over 8A business development program. That is a program. It's called a program, right? Because it's not just a certification, but we will talk in more detail. It is a program that also provides you assistance of how to grow through this program for small disadvantaged businesses. Hub zone, woman-owned, economically disadvantaged woman-owned, veteran-owned, and service disabled veteran-owned, right? So any questions about that so far? Feel free to unmute and ask. I know I'm going through some of this information quite quickly. Beth, do you see any hands raised? For some reason, I don't. But
No, again, if anyone has any questions at this time, please feel free to unmute and chime in, and if not, we can either address them at the end or.
Yes. I got a questions because recently there was like a contract that was available in Maryland for the city of Maryland, and then I was about to bid on it, and the problem is they say I should have not only the certifications, and then there's something called the DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. Yeah. So could you tell me more about it? Does it have a link with what you just spoken?
Sure. So I would love to back to my initial that
Sure.
say when I stated that not all certifications are created equal. So,
Mhm.
and that you really have to do your market research and determine. So if you're talking about, state of Maryland, right? So,
Sure.
or city within a state or county, they may have different certification processes in place, right?
Mhm.
So here we are just going to be discussing in a greater detail the federal certifications available to you, and you may
Mhm.
obtain those. They're free of charge. However, your state opportunities may or may not accept those, right? So I would
Right.
always check with procurement departments, you
Mhm.
know, of what is required. I also want to caution you that getting a certification takes some time. So
Right.
you may not leverage that certification for that particular opportunity unless they're accepting self-certifications. So I would find a procurement department that is listed on that opportunity and ask them about their certification process.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand very well because they told me because I have authorization to do business in Pennsylvania,
Mhm,
and when I emailed them, they told me I should get the one from Pennsylvania first, and then
mhm,
there's a interstate
mhm.
certifications.
Got it.
So I yeah.
If I remember correctly, yes. So there's a DBE certification.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's required that they're well, like from PennDOT. I'm not sure what your
Yeah,
business
Penn
is,
does,
but
yeah,
PennDOT, right? So
SEPTA, yeah. Uh-huh.
usually it's required that is you obtain your certification in a state that you originate, where your business is registered, right?
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
and then you can obtain it for other states, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So those are so I would just look into regulations relative to those.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's still, you should, if it's not a set aside for that opportunity, right? Meaning that
Mhm.
it's not excluding all other businesses that are not certified, you should be able to compete with it regardless. They may just give a preference to a business that is served.
Okay. That's
Does,
interesting.
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, so small business registration, it is automatic. You being certified as a small business and qualified for small business set-aside opportunities, you will be automatically factored in when you register in SAM. Like I said, once you register in SAM, you're going to have to reveal the amount of your revenue, the number of employees that you have, and you're going to have to enter your NAICS codes. Those are codes associated with the industry that you're looking to
Mhm.
provide products and services and those NAICS, the threshold for being counted as a small business vary from NAICS code, from one NAICS code to another, right?
Right.
And if you want details of small business standards, once you receive, you can click on this and kind of look for your industry and see what it would, if you feel like you are, on a cusp of being a small business or not, right? So
Okay.
that's why it is also important and to update your SAM records regularly, at least once a year, right? So not
Right.
being compliant, yeah. Okay, so the federal government prefers to contract with small businesses, so whenever that is possible. As I mentioned, contracting officials will do what's called a market research, and that's when they're going to determine, okay, this product and service can be serviced by a small business, and that's when they decide to make it what's called a set aside, right? So that's why they're going to look for businesses that are registered in SAM, and that's why it will determine if you qualify to compete. So large businesses cannot compete. It excludes them from competing in that space. So it literally shrinks a pool of competition and makes it easier for small businesses to obtain these contracts, right?
Okay.
So, and when I say do market research, they do this many ways, but one of the ways that they do it, and you might have seen it being published in SAM, is what's called pre-solicitations. So it's them letting them know government agency will need this product or this service. And
Okay.
many people are like, oh, it's not an actual solicitation. I don't want to bother responding. I'm saying do respond. It not only creates a visibility for your business, but it's also letting government know, yes, there's small business that can provide this. And this is how they determine if it's going to be a small set aside, right? So
Right.
there's, if so you have, it's very important to respond during that stage, right? So, and like I said, the number of type of small businesses able to do the work. This is how they find you, right? So it's creating visibility. and how much contract is worth. So there are certain thresholds, they're listed right here, right? So if the opportunity is $250,000 or less, it is automatically considered a set aside for small business, right? And
Not to interrupt, but I did have one question before we get too far afield.
sure.
Somebody had asked if the Pennsylvania State DBE certification, is that accepted by the SBA as an equivalent to its own SDB standards when soliciting exam? Is that the same thing, or is that, do they differ?
So once again, going to the importance of differentiating different certifications, right? So state of Pennsylvania may, in some instances, accept the federally given one, but not the other way around, right? So when you're working with state of Pennsylvania, so for federal government contracting space, only these certifications that we'll be discussing today will be accepted in order to qualify for these set-asides and sole source contracts. Okay. Did that answer your question? I hope so.
You
All
talk,
right.
you know,
Hmm?
are you talking to me?
Anybody who asked that question that
Okay,
Ben
sure. Okay.
mentioned, yeah.
Oh yeah, I understand what you said.
Okay, got it. All right, good. And then there's a small disadvantaged business, right? So you can self-certify. We are still talking about self-certification. Those are in good faith. Those when you register in SAM portal, you're listing, yourself and you're saying, I'm a small disadvantaged business. You will have an option to select that, right? So, and this will help federal procurement officials to identify, the presence of these small businesses and in that certain area, even though it's not a formal certification. And you may represent that if you qualify for in a federal subcontracting program in good faith and it's uncontrolled and by one or more socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what that actually means. You have to be 51% or more owned and controlled by one or more disadvantaged persons. And they have to be socially and economically. This is not or. So this is socially and economically disadvantaged. And once again, you must meet the SBA small business standards. Okay, so there we go. Then there's these, you can also self-certify. Oh, so we're going to discuss now the woman-owned certifications by SBA. So this is a formal certification, right? Once again, you have to be small. You have to be 51% owned and controlled. And during the certification process, you're going to have to show documents, right? Operating agreements and things that show that you are the final authorized authority on everything that happens in a company, operationally, financially, and so on. That you manage day-to-day operation, make long-term decisions. As a part of that certification, you can also acquire as ED, which means stands for Economically Disadvantaged Woman-Owned Business within the program. And you meet the requirements for that. So you should have your personal net worth less than $850,000 to qualify as economically disadvantaged, right? And if it's owned and uncontrolled by more than one woman, each has to have a 400,000 or less in adjusted gross income average in the previous 3 years to be considered economically disadvantaged, right? And it has to be owned and controlled by one or more women, each 6.5 million or less in a personal assets. Now, what I want to point out, and I'm sorry, this link is misplaced, but not all. So NAICS codes represent categories that represent your product or service. In order to be eligible for women-owned certification, there's only certain lists of NAICS codes that qualify for that program. And those are NAICS codes associated in the industries where women are historically been underrepresented. So I do suggest that look through the NAICS codes if they apply to your business, right? So, all right, let me go to the next slide. Hold on, bear with me. It's deciding to be there, not advancing properly. Okay, here we go. All right. So, and let's see. And then how do I apply? Right. I will tell you this about woman-owned certification team. And if you have embarked on this journey already, you may already know it. It is a small team and it is certifying the entire United States of America. They're currently short-staffed. So I do caution you that this requires patience. We understand from the time you submit your certification right now, the average wait time is 6 to 8 months for the initial review, right? But these are all live links, like I said. So you're going to have to prepare a whole list of documents, as I mentioned previously, displaying your accounting that shows that you are an established business and you have been in business, that you are a woman that is in control and manages day-to-day operation and finances of that business, right? So preparing is a key and it will make this process a whole lot less frustrating. Any certification through SBA is free of charge to you, right? So you would apply by creating a profile here. Once again, prerequisite is that you are already registered in SAM. Now, SBA does accept a third-party certification through these different agencies. However, once you obtain the certification through these different agencies, you will still have to go to SBA's portal and import that certification into the system, right? And so what I do suggest, we get a lot of questions relative to women-owned certifications, and I do highly suggest the only opportunity to really get a response and meet with that team, because if you send them an email, they may not respond in a time that you need them to respond. They have these bi-weekly sessions, and here is on Eventbrite that are free for you to attend, that really walks you through the initial application process, that uh, walks you through should they have request more information, and walks you through renewal. So they have these live sessions that is the best and sometimes the only opportunity to be in touch with the woman-owned certified team. Any questions so far?
We're looking good in the chat as of right now.
Okay. And like I said, WeBank certifies a lot of businesses in this area, SBA, and will accept that certification. And just want you to know that there's a fee associated with those certifications, but it may also have a broader scope. City of Philadelphia may accept that certification. Different state agencies may accept it. They also have a big pool of corporations that accept that certification. So, I believe fees $350, it might be worthwhile for you to do that. And they can also assist you with applying with SBA for that certification, something to keep in mind. Now, some of the same things apply to veteran certifications. You have to be small. You have to control 51% of your business. There's also veteran small certifications and service disabled veteran certifications. And there's if you want to look at a list of documents, you can click on this live link that's required. And my understanding is that now that SBA has taken over the certification process, they are fairly quick in issuing these certifications, right? So if you're a veteran, it is definitely a certification that is worthwhile to have, because with Veterans Affairs, they also have an ability to issue what's called sole source contracts if you can convince the buyer that you're a business that they should be buying from, right? So this certification was previously handled by Veterans Affairs Center for Verification Evaluation, but as of January 1st, this is in hands of SBA, right? If you're considering the certification, I suggest that you really click and prepare before you embark on this journey as well. So make sure that you have all your documents and that you qualify. And just once again, I know that Apex Accelerator, your counselor, can assist you with all of those, right? Now, 8A Business Development Program. It's probably one of the most powerful certifications out there for small but disadvantaged businesses. Like I said, it's not just a certification, it is a 9-year program that's creating to help firms owned and controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals in a federal government contracting space. So key is, again, you have to be a small business. The business has to be controlled and owned 51% or more by socially and economically disadvantaged business. The details of those qualifications officially are spelled out in this CFR, which determines how government does business. And your personal net worth of the owner of the socially and economically disadvantaged person must be 850,000 or less, with adjusted gross income of 400,000 or less, and assets totaling 6.5 million or less. You see, so some of these qualifications are, kind of the same. You must demonstrate a good character and potential for success. Now, this certifications you really need to, it is designed for already established businesses that have strong competencies, strong products and services to deliver to the government. So it is not best suited for brand new businesses. And throughout the certification process, you have to show for it as well, meaning not that you just established your LLC, you have to be in business for 2 years, meaning not that you have your EIN for 2 years, you're going to have to show your business activity, right, through your financials and other documents that you already established and you have revenue. This business does really work hand in hand with business opportunity specialists, someone like myself or George Tapia, that will help you navigate this landscape. They will help you market your opportunities, but still the burden is on the business themselves to do the work, right? And then there's also annual review for this business. So every year we revisit, kind of take a look where you are from year to year, right? So so it is, like I said, it is not for brand new businesses. Once you're in a business for 2 years, it is a great certification to have. We get this question a lot. What is definition of social advantage, right? So I decided to pull an actual regulation that spells it out. So socially disadvantaged individuals are those who have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias within American society, and only within American society. And I'll explain why that's important. Because of their identities as members of groups and without regard to their individual qualities. It is an 8A program for 8A program purposes. In order to qualify, social disadvantage is established through discrete incidents of bias which negatively impacted your entry into or advancement in your business world. And the way you prove that is you have to provide what's called social disadvantage narrative, at least 2 examples, right? So, and they need to refer to you having been disadvantaged based on race, ethnicity, gender, or identifiable disability. Okay, so what are the benefits of business development program, right? So federal agencies are more likely to give a sole source contracts to 8A businesses than anyone else. And what does that do? If you're a business with strong capability and you, through your market research, have found a federal agency that is in need of what you are selling, and you had convinced them that you are the business and you have capacity to deliver on these terms, you can be issued what's called a sole source contract. Basically, through your marketing efforts and your capabilities, you're able to eliminate this competition, right? Additionally, if a contracting officer finds 2 8A businesses that can deliver on that product or service, that opportunity is a set aside. So these are non-competitive bids, right? So, and there's competitive bids where you can also compete for any other opportunity, and the fact that you have this certification may give you an advantage. You get a development assistance from someone like myself or my colleague George Tapia. There's also other federal procurement experts that are available to you through something that's called 7J program. That's built that stands as a resource to you to go through using the certification. As you're getting these businesses, your also business grows through this 9-year program, right? So the whole idea is for through these opportunities, sometimes these businesses even grow themselves out of the small business category. It's a very powerful certification. Now, something to keep in mind is that this program is issued to the business and to an individual at the same time. And the reason being is that one individual doesn't start 5 LLCs and then benefits for this program for all of these businesses, right? So, and it's only there for 9 years. So we always encourage businesses to apply at the time they feel they are strongest and best positioned in order to deliver on a product and service. Because the moment you get that certification, the 9 years starts ticking, right? There's also opportunities to create joint ventures with businesses that have previously worked in federal government and also create mentor protege programs. It is a great certification to leverage through these opportunities as well. Review process, once again, can be 6 months plus for something like this for the initial review. So once again, requires patience and stamina and organization. But you're welcome to click on these links and learn about that. Let's see. SBA certificate. Oh, how did I jump to this? All right, I'm not sure how that happened, but bear with me. I swear to God, I did not think I clicked the back button. All right. I think that here's where we were. Okay. Okay, HubZone certifications, right? So this is where government limits competition to certain contracts to businesses in historically underutilized business zones. It also gives preferential consideration to those businesses in full and open competition. People find it cumbersome to apply because it is somewhat strenuous to apply for that certification, but I believe it has a lot of benefits, right? So it applies to all purchases over 3,000. You're recertified every 3 years, and you're eligible for competitive and sole source contracts. We also discussed what those are, right? But you just have to understand the conditions under which contracting officer can issue this as a sole source contract. And probably the greatest benefits, it has a 10%. Here we go again. There we go. I don't know why that's happening. 10% price evaluation. And what that means that if a large business competes for the same opportunity, you can propose 10% more than they and still win that contract. Do you know why this is happening to me?
I was just going to tell you to take your arms off the keyboard, but I don't think that's it. So.
I thought I was talking with my hands. Okay. Now, what are the qualifications? You have to once again be small business. 51% owned and controlled, U.S. citizen, a community, and you have to have a principal office located in a hub zone. If you want to find if your office is in a hub zone, just click here, right? Also, there's a caveat that people find difficult to navigate. 35% of your employees also must be living in a hub zone. Throughout recertifications, if that ends up not being a case, you're giving a lead time to remedy this, right? And the full qualification of criteria is listed right here. And here's how to apply, right? And a HubZone team is very responsive. So if you could try to connect with them, send them a general email. I know sometimes people feel like that's going nowhere. They're responding quickly, right? So, and there's also instructional videos. So I suggest you use those resources in order to apply. Now, you've gotten your certification. Now what? right? So I always like to liken this to getting a fishing license, right? So a lot of people expect, okay, I'm certified. So where are my offers? You still have to market not just your business, but you have to market your certifications to your advantage. So I liken it to a fishing license because you got your fishing license, but you still need to get a rod and you still need to put a bait on that thing, right? So lead with your capabilities when you're marketing your business. And market research, once again, becomes so important. And I know that sifting through a database, trying to find the right people to talk to is something through sifting a database from the 80s. And Beth and I know that very well. But Apex accelerators are very instrumental in that. So I always say at the starting point, try to find at least 5 agencies that are buying what you said. Start exercising that muscle, right? Start creating tools, email templates, really beef up your capability statement and start networking. Look for networking events, letting them know. So you can market your business to federal agencies directly for prime contracts. So I know a lot of businesses want to pursue these opportunities on their own. But I'm also saying do not dismiss prime opportunities. And what do I mean with that? Partnering with businesses that have previously have a history of winning these contracts. And I'll tell you why. Any opportunity in federal government contracting space that is $750,000 and over, I believe construction has the higher threshold of million or something. They're required to have a subcontracting plan, including small businesses and businesses with different certifications, right? So the beauty of that relationship is that Prime is responsible for bidding on all these projects, and they are also responsible for all of the compliance. All you have to do is deliver on the thing that you love to do, which is why you went into business in the first place, right? So it's also a great way to build your past performance, right? It was also a great way to learn from these large primes on how business is conducted, in the federal government space. So I'm saying don't knock it. A lot of people, they just want to have a full control and be primes. And if you can deliver on that, that's great. But I'm saying there's a lot of opportunities among primes as well, right? And I believe we had a session last year. Was it last year, Beth? Yeah, last year with Lockheed Martin, one of the largest government contractors, that walk you through exactly how to network. And you can probably find that video on the YouTube channel, right, Beth? Yeah. So resources are required, no doubt about it. Your time, your commitment, your business capacity and knowledge, those are all super important considerations. Learning how to do business in federal government contracting space is a really steep learning curve. I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm currently still undergoing certification to learn some more, right? So just something to keep in mind, right? And keep all your government contracting materials up to date. If you have applied for certification, it's okay to indicate in process, right? So, or you can also indicate that you're self-certified for the time being. So it's also letting businesses and networking partners that, you may be eligible for these opportunities soon, right? Also, the SBS is a very important tool. It is a dynamic small business search provided by SBA, and it directly speaks with SAM.gov. So it pulls information on all businesses that are registered in SAM as a small business. And it pulls the initial information from there, your NAICS codes, registration date, whether you have active or inactive status. And that tool is used by government contracting professionals all the time to verify what is on your capability statement. So those two need to match. There's also steps you can take to supplement that profile, like going and gaining access into your DSBS and boosting that profile with your capability statement, with professional licenses that you have, right? So the equipment that you may have. So all of those things, and I know Apex accelerators can certainly help you boost your DSBS profile. You could also see what your business looks like right now in a DSBS. Very important. Because if you've registered in SAM, you use 3 different NAICS codes, you build your capability statement, you're going after an opportunity that requires a different NAICS code, and then contracting officers, when they're considering you, goes to look at the DSBS and you don't have that NAICS code represented, you may be disqualified from that, right? So those things need to match. They need to show your capabilities. I know sometimes businesses would ask me, what's government buying? And then build their business plan around it. But it doesn't really work that way. If a contracting officer says that you're selling paper supplies, you're doing housekeeping, and you're doing construction and real estate and education, they may think like, okay, does this small business with a small team of 2, do they really do all of those things? So you really need to show up as an expert in what you do. Okay, those considerations are important for more substantial opportunities. Some of the below, small business for small opportunity thresholds may not be as important, but for anything substantial that will actually help you grow your business, those things are important. Okay, so once again, sales and marketing tips. Doing business with federal government is a dynamic conditions, and rules and laws are constantly changing. So most recently, for example, 8A program qualifications have changed. Rules have changed. You need to show your social disadvantage. There is no presumption anymore. You have to give them 2 narratives. That's just one example. But also really learning, looking at the regulations and reading through them, as boring as it is, right? So it will be necessary for you to respond to any solicitation, any request for proposal, any request for information. That section that says, reps and certs, that says these laws apply, click on them and read them. So you have to continue education. Now, we always say this, like a broken record. This is not, government contract is not a sprint, it is a marathon, right? So just to give you an idea, the average sales cycle of doing business with the federal government is 18 to 24 months, right? From the time you decided to register on SAM, and that's assuming you already have strong capabilities to deliver on, right? And these are the are just something that doesn't get communicated a lot, but fiscal year affects how government does business. Your first and second quarters that start on October 1st are usually used for marketing. This is where you create visibility for your business, right? So by third and fourth quarter, these different departments, they need to spend money that they have been allocated. So they're going to look for ways to sell, spend the money, allocate it to them, and they're going to look for businesses to sell it to, and they're going to try to wrap up any negotiations that are currently in works, right? Something to keep in mind. Now, everything I've said sounds like a lot of work, right? And it is, I'm not going to lie to you, but it does pay off. This is just some stats to give you on the number of offer letters that have been issued for businesses with these certifications in a period of 6 years. These are some serious numbers, and this is data for businesses within we kind of looked at the data within this Philadelphia area within 3-hour distance, something that a small business can deliver on. These are all small business categories. Yes.
Can we
Layla?
access? Hi, this is Layla with Penn's Best LLC. Can we access this video after this presentation?
Yes, and you will
Can we
get the
access
copy
this?
of a PowerPoint.
Okay, because I need to know this. Like,
Sure. Is there anything particular that grabbed you by the presentation? Because I'm looking for feedback so I can do this better next time. I know
I'm
I'm
a
giving you a
veteran.
lot of
I'm a
information.
woman. I'm a woman-owned
Mhm.
business. I'm in
Mhm.
janitorial. So I am in an
Mhm.
industry that the government is looking for services all the time. So I need to
Absolutely.
get certified as soon as
Sure.
possible. I've been in
Sure.
business for 4 years. I need to do this. So I
Okay.
need to access that PowerPoint. Okay. Thank
Absolutely. Are
you.
you looking locally or the state or federal
I'm looking
opportunity?
everywhere. I'm looking on
Sure.
SAM,
Uh-huh.
in PennBid, with the
Mhm.
city of Philadelphia. I'm registered with
Mhm.
the city of Philadelphia, registered in DIBS,
Got
registered
it.
with Unison,
Mhm.
registered,
Good.
got looking to register with GPO.
Mhm.
So many different platforms. There's
Yeah,
so many opportunities for
yes,
doing business because they really need us.
they
So
do need you. They do need you. And
I
you know,
I want to access that.
sure. So I'm gonna send you this, and WeBank right here in Philadelphia, you know, is a great team of people. You know,
WeBank.
WeBank. I listed it there as a resource. They are third-party certified, also accepted by SBA portal. So if they, but they also, you are able to leverage their certification beyond just federal government contracting space, right? With the city of Philadelphia, I believe, as well also large corporations. So even though it's a $350 to certify through them, they have
Hmm.
guides that can help you certify, right? So you will get
Hmm.
WeBank certification, and then you can upload their certification in our SBA system, right?
Okay.
And get also the formal federal certification, and they're partially sponsored by SBA too. So, and I
I'll
know
get
the
with them.
team. Yes, so it's all the link is in the presentation, so you can take a look at it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Leila. Okay, so my colleague George Tapia, every other month, 4 times a year, conducts these 3-hour-long sessions, going more in depth about each of these certifications, and is also how to sell to the federal government. So if you want to sign up, link is going to be there. You're welcome to do that. The next session is on July 25th at 2024. Okay, and boom. I try to get it all in an hour. We have 6 minutes for questions, and I'll stay a little bit longer if you need to, but feel free.
Hi, my name's Jim. I'm calling from Penn Fleet. We do fleet maintenance and collision for medium and heavy duty trucks. I was wondering, before I go through this whole process, how would I find out if it would be advantageous to see if there are any contracts, government contracts? Because I know that we can go through the GSA and sign up to be a contractor or a vendor.
Yeah.
We have just looking to see if it would be advantageous for us.
Sure. Every small business, and I was one, has limited resources. So I think it's like I always say, market research is so important. Everyone wants to dive in head first. So I'm so glad that you're asking this question, Jim. I'm not sure if you do have Apex Accelerator Counselor, they can help you. Based on your business category, look through these different databases to find out who's buying what you're looking to sell. Right. So, Beth, could you mind also, there is also, you can look on usaspending.gov. You can also look on the FPDS, Federal Procurement Data Systems, right? So, and it will give you a little information about the history. If you're registered in SAM, you can look for contract opportunities, current and past. It will also give you an idea who is buying, but your counselor can kind of narrow this down for you because it can be overwhelming trying to search this database, right?
Okay, great. I appreciate that.
Sure. Yeah, you got it. And are you currently signed up? I'm assuming you are because you're here with Apex
Yes.
Accelerator. Okay. Got it. If you have done your homework on capability statements and registration, everything else, I know that they also give you a database that directly sends to your inbox opportunities that are published. Have you had that set up?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, well, something to consider. But like I said, usually Apex accelerators want to know that you have these foundational things in place first before they give you this carrot, what I call it. It really
Okay.
helps with searching. Yeah. So, and then you go to these agencies, find their procurement contacts and say, which certification do you accept? Especially if you found one that you want to target directly, like, okay, there's no doubt that these people are buying and are going to continue to buy. I want to invest my time and effort into certification. And let me tell you something, once you go through one certification, the chances are that you can replicate using those same documents for the other certifications. So it gets easier, especially if you are like a small disadvantaged business and you're also veteran owned, for example. Right. Any other questions?
And again, I'm just going to address one of the questions quickly that was in the chat. Someone asked if our accelerator of Apex has a list of all these data procurement systems open for registrations. Again, our counselors are very knowledgeable in all of the many different procurement portals and registration areas. But one of the things that we will try to do through our marketing specialists, again, we know that your time is probably the most valuable thing that you have. We're going to want to explore those opportunities that are going to be most advantageous. So again, it's not like you want to throw spaghetti at a wall or just register for everything out there. We're going to try and find a more targeted approach for you. Again, if what you're looking for is, an ability to register everywhere, your counselor can definitely help you with that. But we are also going to try and help you maintain a balance if possible.
Okay. Someone unmuted. Did you have a question, Jim? I believe it is. Hello, sir. How are you?
Yeah, good. I got a quick question. I mean, I appreciate, you explain very well, what, as a small business owner, what need to be done in order to find contracts. One things, some things I have faced, like for example, when you apply for a business loan or business line of credit, there are a lot of requirements. And then is there like, some like federal government that offer, line of credit or business loan or grant, in order, because like when you have contract with federal government, there's certain things they don't tell you. I watch over YouTube, like in the first 2-3 months, you should have money available to pay your employees, and they don't tell you that much about it. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
if you have, please,
Yeah.
if you have certain sources, you can send the link or tell me where to have it, so I
Yeah.
can do personal research to find
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so while the government does not directly issue any loans, there's, on every district level, there are different loan programs. They're called SBA backed loans. And Beth, would you mind putting a link? It's on the SBA website. And there's a tool that you can search based on your needs. They do everything from micro loans and grow through that. So there's certain
Okay, that's
partners,
good.
certain
Yeah.
lending institutions,
Mhm.
and it's really up to them to set the terms, but they're what's called SBA loaned, and they may not always tell you that initially when you go apply for them, right? So you have to be specific when you go to them. I'm not sure
Okay.
if Kim has joined, and my colleague from lending department, but that is usually a really good starting point. And we have businesses go from like going to microloan and getting $500, $1,000, and they just grow, like pay it
Yeah,
off,
right.
come back and get more, right? So
Yeah, even my personal bank, I have business accounts, I'm limited with them, you know what I mean? Because they say, oh, you should
yes,
have certain amount of,
sure,
income,
equity.
yeah, equity, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's what, yeah, okay.
I
That's,
understand.
yeah,
And I'm also glad you're saying it. When it comes to government contracting, you really need to consider the financial aspects. Even if you do land your first contract,
exactly.
you may not
Yeah,
get paid 30, 60, 90 days out.
yeah,
Very rarely, usually when large size opportunity, you can maybe negotiate to get some of those up front, but I would not bank on it.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
so because I learned it from YouTube, they say, yeah, it's better you have the, you know,
Mhm.
asset, the money available instead when the time comes, you
Absolutely.
get a contract, and then, yeah. All right, that's all
Agreed.
I want to ask. Thank you very much for your
You're
time.
welcome.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. All right, thanks.
You got it. Thanks for
Okay.
joining.
All right, have a good day.
You too. Thank you for joining.
All right, thanks.
Jim,
And
I see you unmuted. Did you have a question? Or was that by accident?
whoop. Jim, we're not hearing you. If you're I can see you're trying to talk, but I'm not getting any sound through here. You're muted. I wonder if this is something with Zoom. This is not the first time I've had a problem. We
Right.
still can't hear you, Jim. If you want to put your question in the chat, I've also been experiencing some problems with the Zoom not connecting to people's microphones. I'm not quite sure what is up with that, but we're not hearing you on our end. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, nope, there you are. There you are. We got you. Can you speak a little closer? Yep, you're a little quiet.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can. Yes, go ahead.
We're in business.
Okay, we are an R&D business and we don't do repetitive contracts with one specific government agency. We're just now coming on board with certifications. But when I go into solicitations and I pull up a solicitation I might be interested in, how do I reply to that solicitation? Is there a a particular format that you use, or is it a form that you use? How do you reply to those solicitations?
So, Jim, that's a very good question and one we get all the time. I will tell you this. Everyone asks me for a template on responding to solicitation. The solicitation request is the template itself. There are no shortcuts to responding them. Reading every single line, reading every FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulation, applying to see if you even qualify for that or what the limitations are, is what is required. And you sometimes they will be kind enough to tell you, respond to this is what we need, this is what we need, this is under 1A, we need this, under 1B, we need that. Responding it exactly structured, the way solicitation is structured is the best way to get a response back, because what contracting officer is not going to do is read through 10 pages of narrative and trying to correspond the solicitation question to your answers, right? So if you read this, so you read the scope of work, and it's usually outlined like this, like, 1A, 1B, 2, we need this, 2, this is what the financials look like. So read through it. And also Apex accelerators are wonderful in that way. If you give them enough time, there is no what I call contracting 911. Oh, solicitation is due tomorrow. Can you help me with this? Because some solicitations are hundreds of pages long, some 80, some 30, 20, depending on what's required. But they can help you interpret the ask of that solicitation. They can help you interpret if that is suitable for your business, if you're a fit, right? Based on all the categories, set asides, and all this other stuff, NAICS codes. And thirdly, they can review your submission prior to you giving it to the government. Like, just give them enough time. And
Okay,
usually
very good. Thank
responding
you so much.
and usually, I do kind of have a template. It usually requires a team of people. So when you read through your solicitation, okay, I need my accountant, I need my engineer, I need my marketing person, and then you divide the scope of what's required to your team. And then you come back giving everybody ample time to respond in order to put this together, right? Contracting officers are very experienced. They will easily pick up on copy and paste, and they will easily pick up on solicitations that were put together in a rush. And not answering.
Some of the agencies will put on there the scope of work, but others will not put the scope of work or statement of work. And they will give you the contact person's information. And typically on some of these, I've just pulled up my capability statement and that's sent it to that person.
Yeah.
But I wondered whether there was a format or a form to use to do that.
So here's my advice to you, and I'll explain to you why that happens. Because contracting officer is tasked with getting that for a federal agency, but they may not be expert at that thing, right? So there's a program manager that works for the department, and then they go to contracting officer saying, we need this. And then a contracting officer has to put, so they're not, experts at the R&D business of yours, right? So there's usually a period of time where you can ask questions. And I will tell you how to use those questions as a marketing tool for your business. So if you ask very targeted questions that show you that you have given it a lot of thought and that you are expert at that thing they're looking to buy, right? Sometimes there's addendum to these solicitations that have been issued. I've seen them being issued. I had one business that I've counseled. They were truly expert at that thing, and asphalt repair. So we went and asked lots of targeted questions. They came back and published answers for everybody's benefit, and they ended up winning that contract. So, don't sell yourself short when you're reading these solicitations. You're like, it's okay to say, I don't think an expert put this thing together, right? Because Jim, you're an expert. You do this every day. All they do is procure contracts. So don't sell yourself short and take advantage of that Q&A time. Get the answers that you need in order. And once again, it's going to show your business like, okay, they're not just doing this blindly. They're really showing up. They're asking the right kinds of questions. Because then a contracting officer has to go to program manager and say, have you considered these things? Right? And then they come back and they issue addendums to that solicitation. And then program manager goes, hold on, who's asking these questions? It's highlighting your business. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. We pretty much caught up in the chat.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions currently? I know that we're a little over our time, but again, I have nowhere to be so, for right now. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to unmute and ask. And if not, again, at the end of today's presentation, this slide deck will be provided to the registrants. Please keep an eye on your email. Again, give me a couple hours. I will put it together and I will send it over on to you. And again, within the next few days, the recording of this presentation will be available on our YouTube channel, and the link to that is within the chat.
Yes, and feel free to let me know. You can also reach out to me directly. You know, like I said, we serve 40 counties, so we get really busy. And let us know, how we're doing if you have any other questions.
But again, allow me to extend my thanks, Natasha. It's been great to see you again, and I thank you very
Likewise.
much for sharing what was a very robust presentation with a lot of information. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to have some great takeaways from this.
Good, thank you. And Beth, I believe, what is it, June 4th? We have another session.
We certainly do, and this one's going to be just sort of on the 8A certification program. So
Deep dive.
Yep, deep dive. If anyone's interested on that, you will be receiving some advertisement for that within your email upcoming. We're going to be posting that quite shortly. Keep an eye out for more information on that, but you can save the date. That's going to be June 4th.
Thank you all for joining so much. Pleasure to meet you, especially those that have chimed in. I always appreciate feedback, so reach out.
Everyone, have a great day. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.